So let me ask you something right off the bat. Do you genuinely love what you do? Or are you part of the whopping 60% of people today who wake up feeling totally burned out, professionally stuck, and honestly, just financially anxious? Look, we live in a world where career choices feel tougher than ever before. There are endless options, totally fluid career paths, and this constant underlying pressure to not just pay the bills, but to actually find meaning. If you're struggling to balance making a living with making a difference, well, you're in exactly the right place.
Welcome to today's Explainer. We are going to dive into how an abstract, centuries-old Japanese philosophy can literally become your concrete, day-to-day financial game plan. We're talking about finding your financial Ikigai. It's this brilliant framework that proves purpose and prosperity absolutely do not have to be mutually exclusive. In fact, they work best when they're completely in sync.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The meaning of Ikigai. 2. Finding your career purpose. 3. The financial balancing act. 4. Purpose-driven investing. And 5. A real-life Ikigai journey. All right, starting with Section 1, the meaning of Ikigai. Let's lay the foundation here. Ikigai loosely translates to a reason for being. In Japanese culture, it represents a much broader view of prosperity, encompassing joy, purpose, and contentment. It basically proves that work doesn't just have to be a daily grind to pay for your weekend, It can actually be a genuine path to self-fulfillment.
The whole thing hinges on 4 specific pillars. True Ikigai exists right at the intersection of what you love, what you're inherently good at, what the world actually needs, and, crucially for our wallets, what you can be paid for. When you get these 4 elements to align, you aren't just finding a job. You're finding a real sense of balance and a deep, driving purpose in your everyday life.
Moving right along to Section 2, finding your career purpose.
So how do we apply this beautiful philosophy to the very real struggle of picking a career, especially when just looking at LinkedIn can give you a massive headache these days? Well, if you're feeling a bit lost, this exercise from the educational institute Hyper Island is fantastic for turning scattered thoughts into clear direction. First, carve out 30 to 60 minutes of totally uninterrupted space. Grab a pen and paper. Sketch out those 4 circles of Ikigai we just talked about, and just spend 5 to 10 minutes brain-dumping honest, unfiltered thoughts into each one. Once that's done, look for the patterns. Where do your skills, passions, and market needs overlap? Share it with someone you trust to get an outside perspective. And finally, and this is huge, take one small step. A quick conversation, a short course, anything. Because clarity always follows action. It rarely happens when you're just sitting still.
Okay, Section 3, the financial balancing act.
Let's see how this translates to your bank account, because finding purpose is great, but we still have bills to pay, right? Financial Ikigai is all about nailing the equilibrium between your immediate needs and long-term goals. Short-term goals are your immediate survival stuff, like building an emergency fund or crushing high-interest debt within a year. Long-term goals are your future security. Think retirement or wealth creation over several decades. Striking a balance is absolutely vital here. You can't sacrifice your future just to survive today, but you also shouldn't save so aggressively for tomorrow that you're totally miserable right now. To pull this balancing act off, you've got to use the SMART framework. Your goals need to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant to your long-term vision, and time-bound. I know, it sounds a bit like corporate jargon, but it's really about giving yourself direction and real accountability. Basically, if you don't give your money a specific job and a hard deadline, it kinda just vanishes.
Which brings us to Section 4, Purpose-Driven Investing.
Zooming out a bit, how does Ikigai dictate what we do with the wealth we actually generate? Well, today's trading platforms actually let you align your investments with your passions. Really care about climate change? You can direct your wealth into ESG funds or renewable energy. You are literally funding the world you want to live in. Plus, you can turn your skills into extra savings via a side hustle and make sure your everyday spending supports local businesses or causes you actually believe in.
Interestingly enough, the act of investing itself can become a piece of your Ikigai. For a lot of people, analyzing trends and managing a portfolio totally hits the what you love and what you're good at pillars. It gives you this massive intellectual boost and puts you right in the driver's seat of your own financial destiny. It is so empowering.
Finally, Section 5, a real-life Ikigai journey. I know this can sound a bit theoretical, so let's make it super concrete with a real-world case study from the Equentis research. Meet Deepa. She started out working as an air hostess, and she was facing some serious financial instability. She was drowning in exactly 200,000 rupees in outstanding debt, with absolutely zero savings to her name. She was stressed out, totally unfulfilled, and just trapped in this endless cycle of trying to stay afloat. But Deepa had a real passion. She had always wanted to be part of the clean energy sector. By discovering her Ikigai, she made a bold pivot. She left her air hostess job where she was making 6 lakh rupees a year and became a clean energy project manager. By aligning her career with what the world needed and what she loved, she didn't just find purpose, she literally doubled her salary to 12 lakh rupees a year. Talk about a game changer.
And here's the best part. With that doubled income, she didn't just inflate her lifestyle. She got highly strategic. Every single month, she allocated 5,000 rupees to systematically crush that debt. She pushed 20,000 into building a solid emergency fund, and she set aside 40,000 rupees for long-term investments using whatever was left to manage her daily expenses. She absolutely nailed that short-term and long-term balance.
The results speak for themselves. Through pure discipline and working with a financial planner, her financial Ikigai completely transformed her life. She is on track to be 100% debt-free in just 3 years. She's building an emergency fund of 2,40,000 rupees a year, and she's secured her future with active investments, from complete instability to total financial empowerment. By finding your Ikigai, you're not just planning for a prosperous future, you're also creating a fulfilling present. Take a second to let that sink in. That quote perfectly sums up our explainer today. Financial Ikigai isn't about sacrificing your happiness today so you can be rich at 80. It's about designing a life where your work brings you joy right now while simultaneously building a rock-solid foundation for tomorrow. So I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Think about those 4 pillars. What do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need? And what can you be paid for? What is the very first concrete step you're going to take today to align your passions with your pocketbook? Don't let this just be another concept you hear and forget. Carve out those 30 minutes today, map out your Ikigai, and take control of your financial destiny. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today.